Hello everyone, I'm Christopher Calderon, and today I'm presenting on Julie Mehretu. Let me start with who Mehretu is and how she became the artist she is today. Julie Mehretu was born in 1970 Ethiopia and moved to Michigan as a child. She earned a BA at Kalamazoo College and an MFA at the Rhode Island School of Design, and she now lives and works in New York. She is known for large, layered abstractions that mix architectural drawing, cartography, photography, and gestural marks. With that in mind, here's the lens and what drives her practice. My lens is race in America. Mehretu draws from maps, civic architecture, aerial imagery, and news photos, then turns those sources into atmospheric fields rather than literal scenes. She studies how space and power are organized, who gets access, who is watched, and whose histories are mapped or erased. And now here is how she builds these surfaces. She works with acrylic paint, inks, graphite, charcoal, spray paint, gel mediums, and stencils, plus tools like squeegees, rags, and sanding blocks. She often gathers maps, architectural drawings, aerial images, and news photos, collages them digitally, and sometimes prints an underlayer. Then she layers by drawing, glazing, spraying, masking, and erasing or sanding, so earlier decisions show through the later ones. Now, where this process appeared on a big stage. This is Stadia 2, made in 2004, an early landmark where Mehretu turned a stadium into a diagram of collective energy and spectacle. Her mid-career survey at the Whitney and LACMA traced early graphic and architectural works through later pieces with atmospheric veils and traces of crowds. Stadia 2 treats the stadium as a collective energy and spectacle, with vectors and scaffolds that hint at nationalism, sport, and politics. The survey shows how bodies in power gather in space and how images record those gatherings. Here's a public commission where scales turn civic. This is Howl Eon 1 and 2, made in 2017, a monumental diptych commissioned for SMOMA's atrium. At SMOMA, Howl Eon 1 and 2 spans two huge canvases in the atrium. The paintings feel like weather moving across the landscape, as grids and aerial traces break into storms of marks. The scale makes us scan the work like a city, gathering migration, disposition, labor, law, and resistance into an enduring atmosphere. Here's how the visuals connect to the lens. Grids and hard lines read as the structures of power, zoning, borders, surveillance. Blurs and veils suggest erasure and survival, histories that persist even when they are hard to see. Bursts and clusters feel like collective movement, crowds, protest, joy, and everyday circulation pressing against the plan. Repeated layering reads as time stacked in one place. Erasures signal resistance, and scale asks us to read the painting like a civic site. Now, why does this matter now? There is no neutral map in America today. American space remembers policy, from redlining in highways to policing in school zones. Visibility does not guarantee fairness or safety. Mehretu's abstraction acts as civic imagination, helping us feel structure and movement together, asking how maps could be redrawn more justly. Now for my personal connection to the lens. When I was growing up, I moved between many different neighborhoods with very different resources, which showed me that maps are not neutral. They decide where opportunity flows. Mehretu helps me see the grids and boundaries, and also the movement that pushes back. I think about my own routes, bus lines, streets, and campus paths, and how communities redraw the map through presence, care, and protest. Now for my two questions. For my first question, what power do we have as the average person to create more equal areas, and how would we accomplish that? For my second question, if maps enforce control, how does Mehretu's unmapping change how we imagine the future? Now that about wraps up my presentation. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.